welcome to a very special edition of Backstage with Boria. For me, a World Cup coverage is incomplete if I do not speak to Michael Clarke. It has become part of ritual. Whether it is in Australia, whether it is in India, whether it is in different parts of the world, an interview with Michael Clarke to set up coverage means the very best will be on my show. Give us something that will help develop that coverage over the next whole month. Michael is in India at the moment. I should have gone to Goa to catch him physically, but nonetheless, thank you once again for giving me time. You've always been kind and generous.
You're welcome, buddy. It's nice to be here as always. It's good to see you.
So what's happening? Are you giving us an opportunity? No defending team has won the World Cup. No home team has won the World Cup.
It's you know what? I think it's gonna be a great World Cup. All World Cups are great. When I look through, a lot of the squads at the moment, I think there's probably 4 or 5 teams that can win it. I think the fact that it's in Sri Lanka and India could have a significant part to play because there's a bit of rain around at this time of the year in Sri Lanka as well. So net run rates will be important. Games being washed out, how many of those will there be? Is there an advantage to India playing all their games in India? Yes, most probably. They know the conditions so well. But I think their main advantage is in my opinion, they're the best T20 team in the world at the moment. They're playing really good cricket, and they probably have got the confidence back that they required leading up to this T20 World Cup. Obviously, losing, a couple of Test series or 2 New Zealand in their own backyard. I saw there was some criticism of that. They lost the one-day series as well, but they've been able to turn that around quickly in regards to preparation to this T20 World Cup. So I say they're the favourites, but you never know, Boria, at a World Cup, funny things happen.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But just a bit of a deep dive. When you see, and I'm asking you this, as a former captain and one of the best captains ever, when you played, if you did not score runs yourself, how critical is that? Because all of us were talking about Surya getting back into form. And I remember that conversation where you told me, do not worry, this guy is good enough to get back into form and lead India in the World Cup. So Surya back in form, how critical is that for India?
I think it's a huge advantage. There's no doubt about it. But I think that's also, we have to respect that's cricket. You can't make runs every time you walk out and bat. And T20 cricket is probably the hardest one to find form again because you don't really have time. Like, even in one-day cricket, but certainly in Test cricket, if you're out of form, you can be a bit more patient, a bit more disciplined, give yourself a bit more time to get into, assess the conditions, assess the bowler. T20 cricket, no matter if you're in form, out of form, making runs, not making runs, you've got to look to score straight away. So you've got to take risks. So, look, I don't think it was ever in doubt. I think he's an unbelievable player, certainly in this format. It is an advantage, or it is great for Indian cricket that he's back in form. But, yeah, I don't think there was any doubt that he was going to be able to turn around. And, again, for players, when you get to a certain age and when you become leader or captain, you can flick a switch. You can go into a big Test series or a major campaign, a World Cup 50 over or 2020, and just flick that switch and really turn it on. It's like the bigger the game, the better you play when you get to that sort of age and when you've been around for a long time. And certainly when you're leading, when you're captain, you want to win these big tournaments.
Abhishek Sharma and Ishan Kishan, they are playing cricket of a very different sort from ball one, and they're relentless. Even if they fail in one match, they're coming back, which means the team management has given them the confidence to keep going.
Yeah, well, Abhishek Sharma, I said maybe 12 months ago, I think he's ready for all 3 formats. I know that's easy to say. There's got to be an available spot to be able to walk in and play. But what I mean by that is I think he's good enough, certainly talented enough, but I think he knows his game well enough now that he could adapt to Test cricket, one-day cricket and T20 cricket. Just a matter of time. But, yeah, he's batting unbelievably. Ishan Kishan gets the opportunity. I think that's one of the things that, the Indian selection, their captain, their coach deserve a lot of credit for, that they've stuck with him. They've given him the chance. He's repaid them so far. And I know he'll want to have a big World Cup campaign if he gets that chance there as well.
How critical do you reckon Hardik is, Michael? Because, again, he's one player you've talked up multiple times, that the balance that Hardik Pandya brings to the side, both as a finisher, as a new ball bowler, he is kind of that pivot. He gives India that extra balance. Hardik Pandya?
This is a big call, but I was watching the game the other night, India play. I think Hardik Pandya is the most important player in the world in T20 cricket currently. I think he's my number one buy in T20 cricket. If I had to buy one player, I think it'd be Hardik Pandya, especially if you're playing in Indian conditions. I think he's that important. Bat, bowl, field. And the other thing, he's an amazing tactician. So I think captaincy-wise, even as a senior player, I know he's not captain of the Indian team, but he can help. He reads the game well. I think he's massive for India's success in this campaign. Don't be surprised if Hardik gets player of the series.
That's a big call you are making, because
Yeah.
you are saying not just in India, you are saying the most important player in the world.
In the world, I think he's my number one. If I had to buy one player, I think Hardik would be my first bought player currently in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other question, Michael, again, I mean, you've never kind of held back. You've told me multiple times Gautam needs a bit of time as coach, but this is one format where he stood up. 87 win percentage, 85 win percentage. This is one format he has mastered, be it the IPL where you commentated, where he took KKR to victory. Gautam Gambhir as coach in this format is kind of fish to water.
Oh, look, I really like Gautam Gambhir. Look, coaching any team at the highest level is tough. You see it in so many sports. It's hard to sustain consistent success. Every team goes through that, those highs and lows. And I think you see the personality of a person when the team's not playing as well as they'd like or not getting the results they'd like. And, there's different ways of leading. There's different ways of coaching, captaining. And at the moment, I just think it's about I think you've got to back your leadership, back your captain. I had the same conversation about England after the Ashes. The big review they're going to do, and do they change Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes? I think sometimes you got to pick and stick. You got to keep the faith. I think it looks to me like the team, are certainly around him, and that is a style of play that's working at the moment, particularly in this format. So, yeah, like I say, I think whatever they're doing at the moment with this T20 stuff, it's working. And I think for all the other teams, they're going to have to be at their absolute best to beat them.
The bowling with Jasprit Bumrah back full fit.
Yeah.
Arshdeep Singh with his left arm. We've got variety. Varun Chakravarti, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, real spin quality. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good attack. Look, Bumrah's he's the best. There's no doubt about it. And he's fit. I think that's the other thing as well. You look at the Australian team. We haven't got Pat Cummins. He's been ruled out injured. Mitchell Stark's retired. Josh Hazlewood, I don't think will start the tournament. So, versus have someone like Bumrah fully fit, ready to rock. Geez, that could be significant. That could be the difference. The other one, and I've supported him for a long time because I think, again, he's a superstar who hasn't had enough opportunity in all three formats, is Kuldeep Yadav. I think he's ready to go. He's a wicket taker. That's the key for me. I'm here in Goa commentating the Legends League at the moment, and even watching, the teams that are now in the final that we're about to play tonight. The teams that have got there, the captains have looked to attack and the bowlers have looked to take wickets, to slow scoring, not defend with fielders on the boundary or, bowling short and get them to hit one side. They've actually said, no, we're going to look to take wickets. That'll slow the scoring. And I think for someone like Kuldeep Yadav, that's his greatest strength. He's a wicket taker. There's no better way to stop scoring than to get them out.
Yeah, and see, that's the kind of, how do I say, that's the thing that India has, right? You have a Varun Chakravarti, you have an Akshar Patel, you have a Kuldeep Yadav. So even if one player gets injured, has a bad day, off day, you have enough firepower to back everybody up. So the balance, the overall macro picture for India is looking good. Before I ask you about the other
squad is important. That's the key with World Cup campaigns. You want to have a good, strong squad because you never know what's going to happen. Someone could get injured. You might play, conditions might be different. So you might say, rightio, we want to play an extra spinner or an extra fast bowler. So to be able to adapt and pivot when required is very important.
Before I get to Australia, mate, what's going on with Pakistan? Say Pakistan selectively deciding to boycott the India match. Where do you stand as a global cricket superstar? You want these matches, which are signature matches, to be played. And when you're playing under 19, when you're playing women, you're not playing this one. Where do you stand on that? If you don't want to answer, I'll understand.
No, look, I'm happy to answer. The politics of it, I left that when I retired from captaining Australia. I don't have to be involved in politics ever again, thank God. The part for me that stands out is I feel for the players. Bangladesh players, Pakistan players. I'm over the moon for the Scottish players. You want to be a part of a World Cup campaign. This is the biggest tournament. World Cups are the biggest tournament in short form cricket, whether it be T20 or one day cricket. And I really feel for the players that are not going to get the chance to take part. My memories of my career, World Cup campaigns are at the top of the tree. So to not be a part of that will be devastating for the players, I'm sure. And I really feel for them.
So you kind of, if I say that Salman Aga as captain of Pakistan, for him the real high would have not been USA or Namibia or one of those games, but to beat India, to get that opportunity to beat India, compete against India, that is what you are trying to point out, right?
Look, to me, to play in a semi-final of a World Cup, to make a final, to win a World Cup campaign, are memories that last a lifetime. So, in the way this tournament is structured, you have to beat, obviously, you've got to go through the round robin, make the top 8, make the top 4, and then obviously get into the final. So you're virtually playing against all the best teams if you want to win the competition, if you want to win the World Cup campaign. And like I say, I think from a player's perspective, they would all like to take part.
Australia, you mentioned already about Starkey, you mentioned about Hazelwood and Cummins, but even without them, it is a solid team. The BBL is a good competition. Except this series against Pakistan, Mitchell Marsh has led a very good Australian unit over the last 18 months. How do you kind of rate Australia? Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, there's some superb firepower there.
Yeah, let's try and forget the 3 T20s against Pakistan because we were terrible, but I don't think that'll make a significant difference to our campaign. Obviously, we would have liked to have won that series and guys scoring runs and taking wickets, but I think the guys will, they'll be focused for this World Cup. A lot of them are playing, in these conditions. Again, playing in Sri Lanka, I think our first 4 games are in Sri Lanka. That's going to be interesting. And then obviously that transition, if we do come to India and play, is going to be, the pitches are different. Conditions have similarities, but the pitches are very different, Sri Lanka to India. So they're going to have to adjust to that. I think our power at the top is going to be very
important.
Can you elaborate a little? Sorry,
because for common people, it is the subcontinent, Sri Lanka, India, similar. You just said pitches are very different. Can you elaborate? Because even for me, it will be excellent to understand what you said because pitches are different. For us, okay, subcontinental conditions, everything is the same. That's not the case. Can you elaborate?
I think these days in T20 cricket in India, they're beautiful batting wickets. They're rock hard. There's not much spin. The ball slides on nicely for batting, hitting through the line. Sri Lanka's a bit different. More inconsistency in pace and bounce, a lot slower, more natural variation. I think generally more spin because the pitch is not as compact as you get in India. So, again, I think how you bowl spin and face spin in Sri Lanka is going to be significant. The other thing, rain, dew, how much will dew set in as well? Where you come to India and, again, you don't see too many T20 wickets in India spinning big now. They're always pretty compact and pretty hard, great for batting. So I think you'll probably see much higher scores in India versus Sri Lanka. They're probably the main differences. But with the Aussies, I think our top 2 is so important, Mitch Marsh and Travis Head. But getting guys fit, like I say, Paddy Cummins ruled out. How long's Hazelwood going to take before he can play? Zampa bowling well is important. We need him bowling well as our major spinner. And then that power at the top of the order, I think, is going to be important. But looking at Pakistan, we played spin terribly. So the wicket spin in Sri Lanka, we've got to have our work cut out, that's for sure. We're going to have to play spin a lot better than what we just did in Pakistan.
Okay. On similar lines, mate, when you mentioned dew, and this is very important. Even MS Dhoni mentioned this point, saying that India will have to combat that. Suppose we are playing Australia in a semi-final in Mumbai. Great batting conditions. Good side, but India loses the toss or some other venue. You are bowling with dew. What is it that you need to do? Because obviously the moment that happens, you're pushed back. Does that mean you train? Do you bowl with a wet ball as Bharat Arun was telling me that you practice for dew? What is your best way to combat dew?
Yeah, look, I'd hate to think a toss of the coin wins the game or loses the game for a team. I think you've got to be able to adapt and adjust. But all the players will be training. You can stick a ball in a bowl of water and bowl with it in the nets. Try and wet the ball so you practice with it. But the key with dew is it's not just the wet ball, so you've got to be able to hold it to execute. But the other thing, dew normally makes the wicket a little bit flatter. The ball skids off nicer. It's generally better for batting. The outfield quickens up. I think there's a lot of things you can do to prepare for it. And, in cricket, sometimes you get it on to go your advantage. Sometimes it's a disadvantage. Toss of the coin will play a part. I think you'll see a lot of teams that will want to chase, certainly in Indian conditions. Sri Lanka, who knows, might be a little bit different. Runs on the board might be important. But yeah, every team's training. Every team will be preparing. They'll all have towels out there. You do your best. Every single player playing in this World Cup has experienced dew before. So it's not going to be a shock to them. It's about how you manage it and how you then execute your skills when you've got a distraction.
So it can be managed?
Definitely. Definitely. Like I say, if the dew's heavy, then batting second, there is a slight advantage. But I think you know that as well. If you bat first, then maybe when you're batting, you've got to push a bit harder for an extra 10 or 20 runs. There might be a stage, whether it's the power play at the back end, you might have to push a little bit harder to get some extra runs for that factor. But more importantly, it's just understanding and respecting, rightio, these are our conditions. How do we play our best? How do we execute our skills to our best of our ability? Because that'll be good enough to win.
No team has defended the trophy. No home team has won. Is it because T20 cricket is unpredictable? One, or second, is it because of home pressure? You won a home World Cup. You supported and celebrated like crazy. I remember covering that tournament. I remember the kind of adulation for Michael Clarke in 2015. What is it about a home World Cup? Is this an advantage or is it pressure?
It's both. There's definitely added pressure because you're expected to perform. You're expected to win in your own conditions. I don't know the reason why it hasn't happened in T20 cricket, but to me, I think 2020 cricket brings the teams closer. There's no doubt about it, compared to Test cricket, for example. If you're playing, if India's playing Scotland in a Test match, I think there's a significant difference in teams. The Test match could be over in 2 days. In a T20 game, one player, one individual performance can win you or lose you that game. So certainly brings it a lot closer. And that's why I say I think there's probably 5 or 6 teams that can win this T20 tournament, this World Cup campaign. But look, I think I always embraced playing at home. I thought it was, the conditions, you know the environment, the heat, the food, the grounds. You're as comfortable as you can be. And nothing better than home fans cheering you on. I never saw it as extra pressure. I think the expectation to win, for me as an Australian cricketer, was there every single time I walk out onto the field, especially in a World Cup. That was what we're known for. So to be able to do it in 2015 at home was expected probably, but I think we embraced that as a team.
Yeah, and some incredible calls, including that Brendan McCullum call for the final. Last 2 questions, mate. One, you said 5 or 6 teams. Which are your top 4 you reckon have the best chance? Because, some really good sides, very close sides, but which are on paper, I understand things will be different, but on paper, going into the tournament, which are your top 4?
Well, I can tell you the team that I think a lot of people aren't speaking about that I think are real contenders to win this World Cup is South Africa. I think they're playing brilliant cricket. I think they've got a really good culture at the moment. I think they've got a lot of confidence in their own game at the moment. I watched a lot of that South African T20 as well. They've got some stunning players, some great players. And a lot of the South Africans are playing now in the IPL as well. So they know the conditions really well. So they would be the one that I guess are under the radar for me. Australia, India, I'm still picking for the final. Of course, Australia's emotional connection, and I always want to see them in the final. India are the favourites, in my opinion. I think they're the best T20 cricket team in the world at the moment. So there's 3. Whoa. New Zealand. I know the T20s didn't go their way, but one-day cricket and Test cricket, they've been brilliant. I'll probably put New Zealand in at number 4. I like seeing the Kiwis do well, and I think they always overachieve at World Cups as well. So there's probably my 4.
And interesting that Michael Clarke leaves out England. Don't be surprised.
I'd like to see England cricket turn things around. They were terrible in the Ashes. I was really disappointed, like a lot of people. I thought it was going to be an unreal series. I hope for, certainly for Brendan McCullum's sake, that they turn things around and have a good campaign and make the top 4. I think that will certainly get a lot of the media off his back. But unfortunately, I think there's a lot of distractions at the moment in that England team. So yeah, I don't think they'll qualify for the top 4. I hope I'm wrong.
Final question, when all of India is now talking about, is it now settled according to you? Is it Ishan Kishan over Sanju Samson? What you have seen, obviously, the New Zealand series, Ishan
Oh,
Kishan was brilliant, but Sanju in the past has done well, not in this series, but where do you stand? Right left combination, keeping everything in mind, both keepers,
yeah.
is it Ishan or is it Sanju?
I'll tell you this: it's a good problem to have for India. Two wonderful players, a lot of experience in T20 cricket. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I think the Indian selectors and captain will already know which way they're going to go. Put it that way.
I'll let you go there, Michael Clarke. I mean, obviously, always a pleasure having you on the
Thank
show.
you,
Look
buddy.
forward to catching up. Look forward to sort of hosting you in Calcutta at some
Can't
point.
wait.
And fingers crossed, hopefully you will be back for the IPL and we will be able to physically meet. Thank you
For
very much.
sure. Thank you, buddy.
Pleasure.
Can't wait to see you.